Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Question number 5. Ta'ammal ma yali. Reflect on the following or learn the possessive pronouns. Now the Sheikh has beautifully taught us over here the use of attached pronouns. The noun that we have over here is baytun. And when we use the attached pronoun with baytun, we know that the tanween disappears and it changes from indefinite noun to definite noun. And it is always used as mudaf, mudaf ilayh. Let me repeat it again. Whenever we use attached pronoun with a noun, it is always used as mudaf, mudaf ilayh. And we know that mudaf does not take tanween. So baytun and who, when we attach who to baytun, two changes will take place. Number one, the tanween of baytun will disappear because we know mudaf does not take tanween, right? So it becomes baytu. And number two, we have to attach the attached pronoun, which is who. So it becomes baytuhu, and it means his house. Baytuhu, his house. And now baytu will be mudaf and who will be mudaf ilayh. And always, whenever we use attached pronoun with a noun, it is always used as mudaf, mudaf ilayh. So baytuhu, his house. And similarly, baytun plus ha, it becomes baytuha. And it means her house. And then we have baytun plus ka, it becomes baytuka. That means your house. And then we have baytun plus ya al-mutakallim, and it becomes bayti. And we know that ya al-mutakallim has a special requirement, and that is it should take a kasra before it. So it becomes bayti, that means my house. So we always start, like in the Arabic language, we always start with the third person, which is who and ha, and then with the second person, and then with the first person. So we call this al-ghaib, and then this one is called, here it is called al-mukhatab, and this is called al-mutakallim. Inshallah, we will learn more in the next exercise. Now it says adif al-asma al-atiyata. So again, we know that adif is fail al-amr. It is sakin, and when we connect it with kasra. Adif al-asma al-atiyata. Now it is al-asma, and we know that al-asma is the plural of ismun. So that means this is the plural of irrational being or ghayru aqil. And we know that the plural of ghayru aqil is considered as singular feminine. So al-asma is singular feminine and mawsuf, and asifa, as you can see, al-atiyata is also singular feminine. We know that mawsuf and sifa, noun and adjective, must be equal in 4 properties of the noun. So now we can see over here that al-asma is feminine, and similarly al-atiyata is also feminine. Now this rule is very important. We have learned it in the previous lessons, that the plural of ghayru aqil is always considered as singular feminine. So al-asma is singular feminine, and similarly al-atiyata is also singular, and it is also feminine. And now we can see that it is equal in 4 properties of the noun. It has al, and it has al, and similarly this is feminine and this is feminine. Al-asma'a is mansub, and similarly al-atiyata is also mansub. Ilal mutakallim, so we say mutakallim, and mutakallim means the first person. Now when we learn English language, we learn about the first person and the second person and the third person. And similarly, we have to learn now in the Arabic language, ilal mutakallim. Mutakallim means the first person, that means I or we. Al-mukhatab, this is al-mukhatab, that means the second person. Wal ghaib, and ghaib means the third person. So ghaib is used for masculine and ghaiba is used for feminine. And why we have here masculine and feminine? Because we have learned who and we have learned ha, and we know that who is used for the masculine and ha is used for the feminine. And similarly, if we have mukhatab, if we have for the second person, if we have feminine, it will be al-mukhatabatu. We know that when we add ta marbuta, then it changes from masculine to feminine. So the third person, kama huwa muwaddahun fil mithali, as it is explained in the example. Muwaddahun fil mithali, as it is explained or shown in the example. So now when we look at the example, we see that we have here a qalamun, that means a pen. And then we say, hadha qalami, this is my pen. Ya al-mutakallim, the ya of the speaker or the first person. Hadha qalamuka, this is your pen. Hadha qalamuhu, this is his pen. And hadha qalamuha, this is her pen. So now basically, we have to focus on two things. Number one, when we use the attached pronoun, the tanween will disappear and the tanween will change into dhamma only. And number two, we have to make sure that we use the right attached pronouns following the example. So what about kitab? So it will be kitabi, hadha kitabi, excellent. And hadha, then we continue, hadha kitabuka, and hadha kitabuhu, and hadha kitabuha. So we continue like this. Hadha kitabi, hadha kitabuka, hadha kitabuhu, and hadha kitabuha. And now we can see that it's a nominal sentence. Hadha will be subject and kitabi will be predicate. Similarly, the rest of the sentences, the same idea. Sarirun, a bed, and you want to say this is my bed. So you will say hadha sariri, and then you want to say this is your bed. Hadha sariruka, and you want to say this is his bed. Hadha sariruhu. And then you want to say this is her bed. So you will say hadha sariruha. Now, two things that we need to do. Number one, we have to write it down. And number two, we have to translate it so that we get used to it. Like what's happening basically. Sometimes we know that it means sarirun and it means sariri, but we are not used to the meaning. So what we have to do, make sure that you write out the translation or the meaning as well. So you need to write two things. Number one, the answers, and number two, the translation. Ismun, and we know that the hamza of ismun is hamzatul wasl. So we will say hadasmi, hadasmi, this is my name. So when you're reading it, you say hadasmi. Similarly, hadasmuka, this is your name. Hadasmuhu, this is his name. And hadasmuha, this is her name. Now in modern standard Arabic, it's not a problem. If you say hada ismi, that's absolutely okay. But of course, when we are like when we talk about the Quran and the Tajweed, then whenever we have the word ismun, and we have to make sure that whenever we connect it, we don't pronounce Hamzatul Wasl. Then we have mindilun, that means a handkerchief. Now you want to say, this is my handkerchief. So you say hada mindili. And similarly, you say, this is your handkerchief. You say hada mindiluka. And then similarly, hadha mindiluhu and hadha mindiluha. Now it's up to you to practice and to write them down. Ibnun, what about the hamza of ibnun? We know that the hamza of ibnun is also hamzatul wasl. So we will say hadha ibnun, and you say hadha bani, this is my son, hadha bani. And similarly, hadha ibnuka, this is your son. Hadha ibnuhu, this is his son. And hadha ibnuha, this is her son. So we will, of course, say hadha bani, hadha ibnuka, hadha ibnuhu, and hadha ibnuha, because we know that this hamza, when we connect it, we do not pronounce it. Sayyaratun, car, you want to say my car. Now, what happens with the ta marbuta? When we connect it with the attached pronouns, it changes into regular ta. So it becomes ta maftuha, as we say, or it becomes regular ta. It will not be written as ta marbuta. We will write it as ta maftuha, as we say, or we say open ta, or we say the regular ta. So it will be sayyarati, sayyaratuka, sayyaratuhu, and sayyaratuha. Then we have miftahun. And then we say my key. So we say miftahi, and your key miftahuka, and his key miftahuhu, and then her key miftahuha. And again, now we can see here the pronunciation. We have hu and then hu. So the first one is both of them are from the throat, but this one is sharp. So we say miftahuhu and miftahuha. So this is hu and this is hu. And similarly, this is hu and this is ha. So the difference over there, we need to be careful about it as well. Yadun, hand. You want to say my hand. So what do we say? Yad. Okay. So what should I say? Hada yadi or hadihi yadi? Okay. Hadihi. All right. Why hadihi? Because the human parts, the body parts that are in pairs, they are feminine. Excellent. So we say هذه يدي, هذه يدك, هذه يده, and هذه يدها. Excellent. So هذه يدي, هذه يدك, هذه يده, and هذه يدها. This is my hand, this is your hand, this is his hand, and this is her hand. So inshallah, with the practice, we will get used to it. Next, we have Iqra, read. And here, basically, what we need to focus on is the use of preposition li. And we have learned in the previous lesson that the preposition li, when it is used with the attached pronouns, then it changes into la with fatha. However, with ya, it remains kasra because we know that kasra is compatible with ya, so therefore there is no need to change it into fatha, as we cannot change it into fatha as per the rules of the Arabic language, or due to morphological reasons we can't change it. But here, the rest of the pronouns we have to change it. So we say laka, lahu, and laha. So what happened? Basically, li has changed into la. And why it has changed into la? Because it is used with the attached pronoun. So the change has to take place. Okay, but it does not take place with ya al-mutakallim. So you say, li ukhtun wahidatun, I have a sister. Alaka akhun, do you have a brother? La ma li akhun, no, I don't have a brother. Okay, this is point number 1. Do you remember point number 2 about li? What is point number 2? Which we discussed in the previous lesson. Number 1, we have learned that li changes into la when it is used with the attached pronouns. And number 2, we can use it only for the body parts, and we can use it only for the relations. So that's why we say alaka akhun, relationships. Excellent. So alaka akhun, la ma li akhun, I don't have a brother. Ukhti laha tiflun saghirun, my sister has a small child. And then you say zamili lahu akhun wa ukhtun, my colleague or my classmate has a brother and a sister. So whenever we talk about brothers and sisters, similarly the body parts, we have to use the preposition li, and we know that it will change into la when we use it with the attached pronouns. So zamili lahu akhun wa ukhtun, my classmate has a brother and a sister. Now there is no need to translate it like my colleague, he has a brother and a sister. We will simply say my colleague has a brother and a sister. Or we should not say my classmate for who is a brother and a sister. So there is no need to always translate it as for. As we discussed many times, sometimes when we use it for possession, it can be translated in different ways. For example, he has. Naqulu, we say indi kitabun, I have a book. Wa naqulu, and we say li akhun, I have a brother. La naqulu indi akhun, we don't say that I have a brother. So the same thing that we discussed earlier in this lesson, and also in the previous lesson, that when we talk about the things, we use inda. And when we talk about the relationships, and when we talk about the body parts, then we use li, or we use the preposition li, as we can see over here. So indi kitabun, I have a book. And you say li akhun, I have a brother. And we can't say indi akhun, this is a mistake. We will always say li akhun wa ukhtun if you want to talk about your brothers and sisters. Ma, with, and it is an adverb. It's not a preposition, it is an adverb. And we know that this is an adverb that is used as mudaf. It is used as mudaf. So this is adverb number 5 that we are learning over here, which is used as mudaf. What are the other ones that we have learned? We have learned tahta, and we know that it is used as mudaf. Yes, what was the other one? We have learned, yes? amama. Okay. And we have learned khalfa. Okay. And then we have also learned inda. So inda, and now this is the fifth one, as we can see over here, number 5. So these are 4, and this is number 5. Ma, which is also used as special mudaf, that means with. Kharaja Hamidun ma'a Khalidin. And we know because it is used as mudaf, that's why after ma, the noun has to be majroor, it will be mudaf ilayh. So it will be Kharaja Hamidun ma'a Khalidin. Hamid went out with Khalid. ذهب الطبيب مع المهندس. Again, we can see over here that the doctor went with the engineer. So we can see over here, this construction is mudaf ilayh, and similarly here, it is mudaf ilayh. جلس المدرس مع المدير. The teacher sat with the manager. من معك يا علي? Who is with you, O Ali? معي زميلي, my classmate is with me. So we don't really need to say with me is my classmate. We can also say my classmate is with me. Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha. Amna's husband is with her. Aminatu ma'aha zawjuha. Amna's husband is with her. Kharaja abi min al-bayti. My father went out of the house. Man kharaja ma'ahu. Who went out with him? Kharaja ma'ahu ammi. My uncle went out with him. Amina is with her husband. Excellent. Yeah, that's also very good translation. Amina ma'aha zawjuha. Amina is with her husband. And that is also very good translation. Excellent. And then we say, Man kharaja ma'ahu, who went out with him? Kharaja ma'ahu ammi. Amman is basically uncle. And then we say, my uncle. So we say ammi. My uncle went out with him. So this is the information that we have about ma. So now, inshallah, we have learned around 5, adverbs that are used as mudaf. And I think there are like only 2 or 3 more that we have to learn that have been basically used in the Quran as mudaf. So alhamdulillah, most of it is already covered. Question number 8, baytun. And now what we have to learn over here, that when we use the attached pronoun with any noun, we will just attach it in a regular way without adding anything extra to that. For example, we say baytun, and when we want to add ka with that, or when we want to attach ka with that, it becomes baytuka. And when we want to say his house, we say baytuhu. And when we want to say her house, we say baytuha. And when we want to say my house, we say bayti. But we have 2 special words over here. We have abun and akhun. So when we want to use the attached pronoun with abun and akhun, then we have to add an extra alif. Sorry, an extra waw. So what do we have to add? We have to add extra waw. So it becomes, instead of saying abuka, which is like even difficult to pronounce, so we don't say abuka. What do we say? We say abuka. And similarly, we say abuhu and abuha. And we know that ya al-mutakallim, it requires kasra before it, so it changes into abi. So abu, abuka, abuhu, abuha, and abi. Similarly, we have akhun, so it becomes akhuka, akhuhu, akhuha, and akhi. And akhuka, your brother, akhuhu, his brother, akhuha, her brother, and akhi, my brother. So this is something special about these 2 nouns, abun and akhun. And inshallah, there are like 2 more that we will learn that have been used in the Quran in the same way. We have here we have learned about abun and akhun. So when we use attached pronouns, they change into waw. But when they change into waw, when they are used as subject, when they are subject, or when they are predicate, because we know that subject and predicate are always marfu. And please remember that waw is basically, it is used for the noun that is marfu. And when we talk about the status, we say that the noun is marfu, and we know that subject is marfu and predicate is always marfu. And similarly, we have learned something about the verb, and we know that the doer or the file is always marfu as well. So in that case, we will use it akhu. And inshallah, in the next lessons, we will learn that it will also change into akhu, and then it can change into akha, and it can also change into akhi. So it can change into abu, aba, abi, akhu, akha, akhi. That we will learn later. But as of now, we need to focus that when we use it as marfu, then it will take waw over here. Abu will take waw, and similarly, akhu will also take waw when we use the attached pronoun with that. Let's look at the examples. Abi wa ummi fil bayti. My father and my mother are in the house. Okay, excellent. Aina abuka ya Hamidu. So we know that abuka is subject and aina is predicate, and we know that subject is always marfu. So that's why we say aina abuka ya Hamidu. Where is your father, O Hamid? Dhahaba ila suqi. He went to the market. So dhahaba, he went ila suqi, to the market. Akhuka tabibun. Again, akhuka is subject and tabibun is predicate. Is your brother a doctor? La huwa mudarrisun. No, he is a teacher. Zainabu fi riyadi. Zainab is in Riyadh. Akhuha fi taifi. Okay. Her brother is in Taif. Wa abuha fil Madinah al Munawwarati. And her father is in Madina al Munawwara. So now we can see akhuha is subject and the rest is predicate. So that's why it is marfu'. And at-Taif, there is an extra al to that. And why we have al over there? Because this is how it has been used in the Arabic language. And this does not mean that the meaning will change. The meaning will remain the same, as this is extra al that is used by the Arabs, sometimes with the cities and sometimes with the countries. هذا الطالب. Okay. هذا الطالب أبوه وزير وأخوه تاجر كبير. So now we will say that هذا الطالب is subject. And what kind of phrase is this? هذا الطالب. Is this a complete sentence or is it a phrase? It is a phrase, right? This student. So this is إشارة ومشار إليه. هذا الطالب, this student. Abuhu wazirun. His father is a minister. Now we can see over here that a complete sentence is predicate. So this is subject. And now we can see that a complete sentence can be a predicate as well. And this is a very good example that the whole sentence will be predicate. Abuhu wazirun. Wa means and we know that it is used to connect two nouns or two verbs or two sentences. Wa akhuhu tajirun kabirun, and his brother and his brother is a big merchant. So the whole sentence will be predicate, as we can see over here. So this is what we need to know about abun and akhun. And inshallah, when we move on to the next exercise over here, exercise number 9, something inshallah you already know, as we have learned in the basic concepts, and also we have discussed it in detail. Now we can see that Muhammadun, Khalidun, Hamidun, Abbasun, and Mahmudun, they all carry tanween. And we know that most of the Arabic names, most of the Arabic masculine names, as we know, most of them are, or they accept tanween. Most of them accept tanween, as we can see over here. And we know that except for the names of the prophets. And we have learned some exceptions. And now the second thing that we have learned, so we say that they are munsarif. In Arabic, we say munsarif. And in English, we say triptot, or we say they are flexible. Flexible means that they will have 3 different states. So we say Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin, Khalidun, Khalidun, Khalidin, and so on and so forth. But when we say Hamzatu, now we can see that Hamzatu does not accept tanween. It refuses to accept tanween because it has ta marbuta with that. So it is a masculine name and it has ta marbuta. So that's why it will not accept tanween. So we say this is ghayru munsarif diptot, or we say partially flexible. So it will only accept dhamma, or it will only accept fatha, but it will not accept tanween. So Hamzatu, Talhatu, Usamatu, Muawiyatu, and Ikrimatu, all of them, they will either accept fatha or they will accept dhamma, but they will not accept tanween because they are غير munsarif. اقرأ الأسماء الآتية. Now what you have to do, you have to read the following nouns. وضبط. Now this is not Hamzatul Qat', this is Hamzatul Wasl, so it will be like this because it is sakin. So when we, because this is fi'l al-amr and this is sakin, so it will be wadabit awakhiraha, and then we have to put the proper case endings. So what will be the ending for Khalid? Shall we put tanween or not? Can we put tanween onto that? Khalidun, yes, okay. What about Hamza? Can I put a tanween on that? Can I say Hamzatun? Of course not. Excellent, because this is mamnu'un min as-sarf, ghayru munsarif. It's a diptot. Ammar, can I put a tanween on that? Ammarun. What about Anas? Yes, Anasun. What about Muawiyatu? In fact, I already said Muawiyatu, so we will say without tanween. So Muawiyatu. What about Hamid? We will say Hamidun. What about Usama? Usama too. Excellent. And Ikrama, so it will be Ikrama too. So basically it is Ikrama, as we can see over here. So there is a small typo over here as well. Ikrama too. It is also a beautiful name as well. So it will, what about Abbas? We will say Abbasun. Muhammad, we will say Muhammadun. And Talha, we will say Talha too. Now we know that Muhammad, of course, the name of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when we refer to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it's a must for us, or it's wajib for us to say to send salutations to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if it's a general name for anyone else, then there is no need to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, we know about that. So here it's a common name, it's the name of anyone else, so that's why there is no need to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But when we refer to our Prophet, then of course we will say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-kalimatu al-jadidatu. So now we know al-kalimat is the plural of kalimatun, and this is feminine, and that's why the adjective that we have is also feminine. So both of them are feminine now, and they are equal in 4 properties of the noun. What are the 4 properties of the noun? Man'ud and nat. Do you remember those 4 properties of the noun quickly? C, G, and S. Excellent. Capacity, gender, number, and status. Perfect. So we have az-zamilu, classmate, az-zawju, husband, wahidun, one, fatan, a young lad or a young man, fatan, and the plural is fityatun. Fityatun, as it has been used in Surah Al-Kahf. So fatan is for singular masculine, a young lad, and we say fityatun will be the plural. Ma means with, and also it has some other meanings as well. So inshallah, when we will learn about that it can also, it means like together as well, ma'an, but that will be used as ma'an, that means together. Then we have at-tiflu, child, and al-Kuwaitu, as we know that it's the name of the country, Kuwait. Now let's look at some of the examples of the attached pronouns from the Quran. Of course, we have learned only 4. We have learned hu, and we have learned ha, and ka, and ya. So we will only look at these examples, and subhanallah, I mean these attached pronouns are used a lot in the Quran, of course. And even if you look at like the last 10 surahs of the Quran, you will see that there are so many examples over there. So I took from the last 10 surahs of the Quran, because we know that we recite them a lot. However, you will find the examples of the attached pronouns literally on every page, or I would say like every 5 lines or 4 lines of the Quran. We will find these attached pronouns, because we know they can be used with a noun, they can be used with a verb, and they can also can be used with a preposition. So they are used a lot. So a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So we have the first one, fasabbih bihamdi rabbika wastaghfirhu. So it's basically wastaghfirhu. So we know that here we have rabbika, so ka is the attached pronoun, that means your Lord, and then we have wastaghfirhu, and seek his forgiveness. So who refers to Rabb as well, as we know that it refers to Rabb, the Lord. Now we know bihamdi is jar majroor, and also it is used as mudaf. It is mudaf, and that's why Rabbi is majroor, because it is mudaf ilayh. And we know that that the attached pronouns are always used as mudaf, mudaf ilayh. So now we have 3 situations over here. We have here, this is mudaf, and Rabb is both, it is mudaf and also it is mudaf ilayh. Why it is mudaf and mudaf ilayh? Because for hamdi it is mudaf ilayh, and for ka it becomes mudaf. Wastaghfirhu, and seek his forgiveness. Wamra'atuhu hammalat al-hatab. Now we can see over here, Wamra'atuhu is again mudaf mudaf ilayh, his and his wife, referring to the wife of Abu Lahab. Wamra'atuhu hammalat al-hatab. And now we can see over here who refers to the, as we know that the attached pronoun cannot be used by themselves. They can be used for referring to something or someone that has been discussed earlier. So here we have ka, which refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, we have who, which refers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here we have wamra'atuhu, who refers to the wife of Abu Lahab. And similarly, we have fi jidiha hablum min masad. Now we can see here that around her neck. So we see here jidiha, and it refers to the neck of Imratu Abi Lahabin. So now we can see here that it refers to her neck. Fi jidiha hablum min masad. Around her neck will be a rope of palm fiber. So we can see her jidiha. Then we have alam nashtarah laka sadrak, and sadraka, and when we stop we say sadrak. Now again we can see that it was li, and now we can see from the Quran that li has changed into la. Alam nashrah laka sadraka, and when you stop we say sadrak. Idhabu biqamisi hadha. Now how do we know that we have to read it as idhabu? Of course we haven't learned the verbs, so inshallah when we learn we will come to know that we have to read it with kasra. If you have a mushaf in the subcontinent, so you will see that there will be kasra over there. This is fi'l al-amr, excellent, but in mushaf al-Madina al-Munawwara we don't really see kasra over there. So that's why we need to learn Arabic as well, so that we know how to pronounce it or how to read it properly. Biqamisi hadha, take this shirt of mine. Now I have a question. Why hadha has come after mudaf mudaf ilayh, and why not before mudaf mudaf ilayh? It's a very important thing that we need to learn now. We have learned it already, but now we need to focus on this more. So what happened over here? Basically, qamisi is mudaf mudaf ilayh. If you use hadha before it, if you say hadha qamisi, the meaning will be this is my shirt. The meaning will be this is my shirt. But you want to say, or in the Quran we have Yusuf alayhi salam, this shirt of mine, so it will be qamisi hadha. So please remember that whenever you want to use ismul ishara with mudaf mudaf ilayh, make sure that it will come after mudaf mudaf ilayh and it cannot come before mudaf mudaf ilayh. If you use it before, then it becomes subject and predicate. But we want to use it as what? We want to use it as ishara. So whenever you want to use it as ishara, then you have to make sure that you will use it after the possessive phrase, or after the thing possessed and the possessor, or mudaf mudaf ilayh. Then we have in the end, lakum dinukum waliya dini. Now something very beautiful about the Arabic language, and especially about the Quran, that ya al-mutakallim in the Quran, it gets dropped sometimes. It gets dropped, yeah. So if you look at the translation, it says lakum dinukum, for you is your religion, waliya, and for me, dini is my religion. But of course, because we don't have ya al-mutakallim, so we don't have to recite it dini. That will be a mistake. So if you stop on that, you will say waliya din. And if you want to continue for the next surah of the Quran, waliya dini, and then you continue for the next surah of the Quran. So similarly, in the Quran, whenever you see Rabbi, so whenever you see Rabbi, then that means over there, ya al-mutakallim has been dropped. Then it will be translated as my Rabb, or my Lord. Rabbi inni da'awtu qawmi layla wa nahara. So we have so many verses in the Quran where you see that we have Rabbi. So that means it was basically Rabbi, ya al-mutakallim was there, and it has been dropped. And why it has been dropped? And this is the beauty of the Quran, and this is the beauty of the Arabic language, and that's why we are learning that all these small details, so that inshallah we are able to focus on the Quran and learn more and more. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.